Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Let's Be Nerds. I'm your host, Steven J, and today I'm joined by my wonderful co-hosts, Gordon Bryant, Lizett Ayala, and Demetrius John. Gordon, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Steve. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I think we have an interesting show lined up for today.
I think so as well. I believe we're talking about video games today.
Can't wait. Lizett, your second episode, welcome back.
Hey, really
I,
excited to be here.
I know firsthand that you're pretty passionate about the video game series you're going to be talking about, so that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Demetrius, second episode as well, welcome back.
Thank you.
And you're bringing us 2 video game topics today, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say about that.
Me too.
All right, with that being said, first things first is we want to thank Anchor for sponsoring this podcast. Without them, it would not be possible. And Gordon, I'm going to give it over to you to kick us off.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I'm gonna kick us off with probably one of my favorite video game series. At least it is right now. It's the Assassin's Creed line of video games. I don't know if you guys have heard of them.
I
Just
have.
a little.
Yeah, it's just a small video game. Just a couple developers. They really get the games out slow. Um, I Assassin's Creed really is one of my favorite games because it's one of the few games that are out that focus mainly on stealth to get your missions done without having to go in loud and proud to get it done, which is one of my favorite ways to play a video game is in stealth. That way, it just seems more fun to do it stealthily than going in guns blazing.
I gotcha. So,
And
how many games have been released in the series?
ugh, um, too many, to be completely honest. They're getting pretty close to beating a dead horse, in my opinion, with how many they've released. Which I think is almost 10 now. Um,
Wow.
and the worst part is the games aren't exactly released in order. And by that I mean it's well you'll have one that's like taking place where Benjamin Franklin is, and then the next one's all about pirates. Then the next one's going to be taking place in Egypt, well after both the other ones. Then we have go back in time and do Vikings with the newest one that came out, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Before that, you had Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which took place in Rome.
Wow. So the concept is it jumps from different timelines, different events throughout history.
Yeah, it's focuses on this, as they call it, creed of people who are assassins and study under the hidden blade, and they pretty much go around making sure stuff goes as planned, so to speak, so that they go around trying to stop their counterpart, which is Trinity. I have to guess. It's been a hot minute since I played their games. Um, from trying to take over, or sorry, the Templars from taking over the world in any aspect.
Okay, so in case we didn't make it clear in the beginning, the point of this episode is each host is trying to convince the other hosts why their game series is the best. So, Gordon, give us your top 3 reasons or however many reasons why Assassin's Creed is better and superior to the games that we are going to be discussing.
I think Assassin's Creed is, I guess we can use the word superior, but I think it's better just for the variety that they have in their games. Granted, to anyone just looking at it from the outside and not playing it, it all looks pretty much exactly the same. Um, they might think you're just an assassin going around murdering people for fun, but in each game, it there's its own story, and they all tie in with each other in the long run if you play them all. And you surprisingly get learn a lot about history through this game because the devs of the game were very specific to making the areas that you play in very realistic. So you could, in essence, take the video game maps, go to said place in the real world, and be able to walk around with a video game map as if in the real world and not run into anything from the time that game was created, I should say. Because new buildings can go up at any time.
Hmm. So you're thinking from a development aspect, your game is the superior.
Yeah, because it's one of the few games that are have large open worlds that you're able to play in, especially in the newer games with Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey. It you have a probably one of the largest open world maps that I've at least encountered in playing video games, where you can go and do just about anything in the game, and you don't have to stick to just the story. And there's plenty to do for side quests and just screwing around in general.
Hmm. Okay, that's a pretty strong case. Anything you want to add before we move on to the next game?
I did find out there's 11 games in total,
Wow.
and one of the games is where Assassin's Creed Revelations, which, if I'm correct in remembering, is a different spin on the Assassin's Creed games, where you play a Templar instead of an assassin, so you kind of get to see the other side of the people you're normally going against. So you don't just, so it's not just an entire series of a one-sided argument. You kind of get to see both worlds a little bit.
Hmm. Very interesting. All right. Well, if that's all you have for Assassin's Creed, then we will move on to Demetrius.
Yeah, that's all I have.
So today I have 2 games. The first one I'm going to talk about is one of my personal favorites, which is Rocket League. Now, Rocket League is a car game, but it's not like your typical racing games or like demolition car games. It's basically sports, but with cars. Like there's soccer, basketball, hockey, there's Rumble where you have different power ups and everything. And basically, you drive around the map, hitting the ball, trying to score in the other team's goal. And unlike Gordon's game, um, this one has like different uh, seasons and everything, and their game is always being changed. Like now, we went from the theme of Tokyo to the Wild Wild West. So there's now new cars in, there's now new decals, tires, stuff like that. And basically, you see how good you are, and it'll pair you up with people among your rank. And I find it fascinating because, like, if you're bored or something, you can play on there, you can make new friends, and then when you guys get off, say you get off around 10 in the morning, and then you want to get back on around 5, and your buddy's still there, you two can team up and you can do a 2v2 against other people. You can do 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4 chaos. There's a reason it's called chaos because it's pretty intense. But another game that I really like to talk about is Call of Duty Cold War. See, I'm a big fan of Call of Duty myself. Like, I keep up with the original Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, Black Ops, all that, World War One, all that stuff. And lately, I've noticed that the new Call of Duty Cold War, I've been playing it a little bit, seeing how it works. It's got multiplayer, zombies, and campaign. I'm not much of a campaign person myself, but I enjoy playing like zombies and multiplayer with it. And I've noticed that the graphics are really good. Like you can mess with the graphics to where you can see like a bunch of gore, you can blur all that out. Like, unlike Assassin's Creed, you can actually do that. Sorry
Well,
for throwing.
as an assassin, you shouldn't be making a bloody mess everywhere you go. You're trying to stay discreet while you're being an assassin and not going out guns blazing.
Either way, it still kind of sounds like it'll be messy there.
So, for those of you listening, we are on a little bit of an episode binge where we're trying to record as much as possible. So, we're all pretty tired. And that echoes back. Ugh. Demetrius, the way you spoke was so like calm and slow and like soothing. I was like, not because it was boring, but I was like, am I gonna fall back asleep?
I had the same feeling. Like it was just like so chill and like I'm relaxed. I was zoning out, and then I was like, wait, this is a bad time to not pay attention.
Right? I was like, this kid needs to start like an ASMR like book like channel where he reads you to sleep or some shit.
I mean, I can do that. I've been practicing. Hello,
Well, I
guys.
think
Welcome back to today's ASMR. Today, I'm going to be putting you guys to sleep. So enjoy.
Am I? I mean, I'm actually right. Like he does kind of sound like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a nice like your voice has a nice tone for it. Like it is very soothing.
Oh God, we'll give him any ideas. He'll abandon the podcast and start his own career, and we'll be screwed.
You think I'm gonna make my own career being ASMR?
You
Why,
might.
thank you.
They make a lot. They can make a lot of money. People are fucking obsessed with that shit.
Yeah, but there's also those people, and I'm not throwing hate on anybody, but there's also those people that like will literally just sit down, roll close to a microphone, and eat toast and like smash soap. It's just like you're telling me you get paid thousands of dollars for this like just to eat toast in front of a microphone real close.
You know what's even more like? I was watching this YouTube commentary documentary, and it was about like people that do those mukbangs and how
Oh yeah.
they make ridiculous money just like gorging on gross food. And imagine
Like, what's that dude's name? That
like Nikocado avocado.
Yeah, that like last year he was like the healthiest person in the world, and now he's fucking.
This is the first and last time we will ever speak of him on this podcast. But yes, he used to be a vegan like violinist, and now he's like gigantic, and he mukbangs with his also gigantic husband, and they like fist fight on camera and hit each other with spaghetti. It's disgusting.
Oh
It's
my.
yeah.
Oh,
That's
I can't even. It's such a rabbit hole. Like if you type in Nikocado avocado Walmart girl, you'll just die of like watching him ride around in Walmart in a mobility scooter, and it's just disgusting. Anyway,
Some
sorry.
great behind the scenes content here.
Yeah, that's. No, we're leaving this in. I don't have time to edit behind the scenes anymore. We're good for that. One thing I did want to say about Rocket League is a lot of YouTube commentators will play Rocket League and they'll screen record it, and then they'll dub their voiceover talking about whatever they want. Like, there's this one guy, Optimus, and he is not exactly my favorite, but that's what he does. He plays Rocket League and then he talks about like the news. And yeah, that's only how I know of that game. Because I'm pretty sure it's only available on Xbox, right?
no, it is available on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
interesting.
multi-platform game.
Wow.
And I had Michi, you said you're not a fan of the campaign when it comes to Call of Duty Cold War.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you would have heard of it, but our other two hosts here might. Have you two heard of it, or has anyone heard of the Stanley Parable game?
No.
Wait, what is it called?
Stanley Parable?
Is it
No.
Is it
Stanley's
Stanley like
Parable?
the name, or Stan Lee? Are you saying?
Like the name Stanley.
Oh no, I've not heard of that.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
you guys will have to look that up. There's definitely a few hours worth of videos to listen to, but it's good background noise if you listen to a walkthrough of it.
Hmm.
It's pretty much you're Stanley in the game, and you're in your office, and the narrator narrates everything you're doing. But you can, of course, diverge from this path and do things that you're not supposed to do to get different endings. And there's a play on that in the campaign of Call of Duty Cold War
Hmm.
that I found really interesting.
That is interesting. It's kind of like a crossover or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right. Well, Demetrius, if that's all you have for us, give us your top 3 reasons why your video games are superior, and we will move on.
Alrighty. Well, my first reason is, again, unlike Assassin's Creed, I'm gonna go with Call of Duty on this one. Unlike Assassin's Creed, you actually have a variety of stuff to do because in Cold War there are 3 different games. There's Call of Duty, like there's 3 different games on one disc. Like there's Call of Duty Cold War, there's Warzone, and there's one other one I can't think of right now. But if you get bored of playing Cold War, you can go play Warzone, and their servers are insane. There's a bunch of people that play it all the time. So if you're sitting there playing Assassin's Creed all by yourself in the dark, bundled up in a ball, wondering why you don't have any friends, go ahead and hop on Call of Duty.
I hate that you described a day that I actually had. Like the first time I played Assassin's Creed.
First off, I have plenty of friends.
Sure.
There's at least one person that's my friend in this video call.
Who would that be?
I don't know yet.
My second reason, I'm gonna throw this one on Rocket League, would be it's something you haven't seen before. Like, yeah, there's games where you shoot people, there's exploring games, there's learning games, Rocket League is a different game. It's a sport game, but not like a normal sport game like Madden or NHL or anything like that. It's sports with cars. And it's pretty interesting because you have people that are really good at the game making millions, winning tournaments and everything. And it's actually pretty interesting. And I'm not even going to touch on Fortnite because both Rocket League and Fortnite have both done their little Easter eggs to put one game inside of the other. But honestly, in my opinion, Rocket League tops Fortnite over everything because you have people for Fortnite, you have people that are like stealing their parents' credit cards just to get on and get the battle pass and everything. On Rocket League, yeah, there's the battle pass, but there's also the free pass. And to complete those, all you have to do is these free missions and everything. And it's just really interesting because, in my opinion, Rocket League is something new to people instead of all the other original video games. But my third reason would have to be, unlike Assassin's Creed, again, both Call of Duty and Rocket League are cross-platform across anything, meaning you can play, like if you're on the Xbox, you can play on the PS4 with people and on the PC with people. Unlike Assassin's Creed, where everybody
Assassin's
has to
Creed
be
is a
on.
single-player game, but it's cross-platform, so you can play it on any platform you want.
I love that this has devolved into
And
Demetrius just proving his game is better than Gordon's.
and I just want to say, Rocket League is garbage because it's just playing soccer with cars.
Actually, no, you play basketball, hockey, and other stuff too.
And at least in Assassin's Creed, it's not pay to win, like
It's
every
not
other
pay to-
game you're talking about.
It's not pay to win in Rocket League. You can just design your car. All of them run the same. All of them operate the same. Unlike Assassin's Creed, where you get all this different stuff and it's all just time consuming, and you're just sitting there in your room once again by yourself in the dark, maybe eating some Doritos on the side, maybe eating some big gallon thing of
Well, at least
goldfish.
Assassin's
This is
Creed
turning into
doesn't need.
ASMR.
At least Assassin's Creed doesn't need its tacky battle passes for it to be popular.
You're right.
Like every other game you're talking about.
You're right. Assassin's Creed needs a huge upgrade for it to be popular.
By upgrade, do you mean releasing more content in
No,
the
by-
form of new video games?
11 more.
No, by
No, they definitely don't need 11 more. They can stop now and they'll be ahead of the game, but
no, by upgrade, I mean they need to find a way to actually lure people into their game, not just, oh, here, play this. Okay, we're done. Let's get this
no,
over
that's
with.
pretty much all they had to do. It's probably more popular than Rocket League. Not Call of Duty. Call of Duty is probably more popular. But
I
it's
beg to
definitely more
differ.
popular than Rocket League, and I'm going to look that shit up right now.
Go for it.
With that being said, we're going to take a quick pause. I'm going to go take a nap, and we're going to hear a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to Let's Be Nerds. Gordon, were you able to find that statistic for...
Oh, I found that and a little bit more. So let's start with Rocket League, because
Oh boy.
it's apparently such a great game that it's better than Assassin's Creed. Meechy, take a guess about, on average, how many sales they've made so far. Up to
What do you-
2020.
What do you mean, how many sales?
How many
It's
units
not
of
a
the game
grocery
have been sold?
What do you mean? It's not a grocery store.
Meechy,
Oh
how
my
many
god.
how many times do you think people have bought Rocket League?
None, because Rocket League is free.
Regardless, download it. How many people do you think have downloaded the game?
What do you
Jesus
mean
Christ.
regardless?
Who cares who bought it? I'm asking how many people you think have downloaded the game because it's free.
A lot more, because
Okay.
it's free.
Do you want to know the sales?
Sure. Again, it's not a
Rocket League
grocery
only
store
has
though.
Rocket League is only at 12 million players, meaning they have only sold roughly 12 million copies of the game. Assassin's Creed, on the other hand, is over 140 million sales of each game of the games individually.
Yeah, it makes good firewood.
Rocket League has only grossed over 110 million since they released the game, where Assassin's Creed, since the first one, has grossed over 1.2 billion dollars.
Well, I mean,
And
not to take sides here, but if it's a free to play game, that's kind of more impressive that
it's
they're.
a free-to-play game, yeah, but still garbage.
How
Fortnite's free-to-play too, and it's garbage.
I'll agree with you on Fortnite,
I
but
think
how
we all
much
agree on Fortnite.
but how much does it cost to play Assassin's Creed?
I don't remember.
Exactly
The
my
older
point.
games probably cost like you can get a bundle of like the old like 6 or 7 old games for like $20
See, why would you spend $20 when you can play Rocket League for
because you
free?
can have a lot more fun playing Assassin's Creed than bumping a couple stupid balls into goals for 5 minutes.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is you want everybody to go.
Rocket League is garbage, is what you're
No, no,
hearing.
no, no, no. You want everybody to go bankrupt spending all their money on Assassin's Creed other than play a free-to-play game that costs not even a single penny.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I know that everyone I know is going to have a lot more fun playing Assassin's Creed over Rocket League because Rocket League is such a boring game. All
Gordon,
you do is
everybody,
use a car to bounce around a object into a goal. Where Assassin's Creed, you get to run around in a large open world map, and you get to do pretty much whatever you want.
did I
Whatever you
al-
want.
did I also mention that you can create your own maps in Rocket League? Can you create your own maps in Assassin's
Cool, I can
Creed?
make my own maps in Mario Party too. And guess what? Mario Party is better than Rocket League too.
Mario Party is also better than Assassin's Creed.
Okay, I'll give you that one because Mario is fucking
Yeah,
great.
Mario
Okay.
Party is awesome.
I think that's before this circle chase. I'm using a polite word. Before this circle continues, we'll move on and just agree that Mario Party or Mario fucking Kart or whatever is superior. Okay.
Agreed. Gordon, you got shut down though.
Okay, Lizett, what video game do you have for us today?
Well, it's funny that they should mention Mario because I was going to bring up a Nintendo game.
Ooh.
So my favorite series is The Legend of Zelda. I have been playing it, or at least watching it be played since as long as I can remember, really. My grandmother is the one who introduced me to the series. And we were playing, I remember sitting at her house playing on the Nintendo 64, watching her play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and all my cousins, we have a lot of fond memories with that. Basically, if you are not familiar with Zelda, it is a fantasy game, a fantasy series where you are playing the main character. His name is not Zelda, his name is Link. It's a common misconception.
You mean
Most
she's not Zelda?
the princess the princess is Zelda. The main character you're playing, his name is Link.
Oh, he's in
So
Mario Kart too.
yeah,
Yeah, he's my favorite
Oh.
Mario or Smash Bros. Player.
yep. So
That's all I know him from.
in most you are trying to save the princess or trying to save the kingdom from whatever big evil character has shown up. In most cases, the character, his name is Ganon or Ganondorf. Now, there's a reason same characters keep appearing over and over again over multiple games, which is explained in Skyward Sword, which actually just got re-released on the Nintendo Switch for the 35th anniversary of Zelda. I was really excited. It was one of my favorites. Of course, I I bought it, but I haven't really had a chance to play it because I've been playing on my PlayStation 5, but that's another story.
Flex.
Wow.
I had to do it. I'm sorry. So anyway, you're trying to save the kingdom. Now, most of the games up until the most recent one, which was Breath of the Wild, were very linear. You had to follow a certain chain of events. You didn't really get to go out and explore wherever you wanted to. Now, that formula was starting to get a little bit old. People still enjoyed it, but Nintendo realized that they would do a lot better if they started to evolve the games. Now, this is something that, if I'm remembering correctly, the guys have explained so far are still kind of following the same basic formula. Nobody's really made a big change like they did in Legend of Zelda. So when they released Breath of the Wild, it went from being a very linear series to completely open world. You could do whatever event you wanted in whatever order you wanted. You could skip stuff. You could go out and do every little detail, which to completely 100% the game, there was so much involved. I don't remember how long it took the first person to reach 100% on it, but it was not a quick feat. It took quite a bit. But on the flip side of that, if you want it, once you finish your first kind of tutorial area, you could run and skip straight to the final boss if you wanted to. Not necessarily the best idea if you don't know what you're doing because you don't have the equipment, but you could run in at the main boss with a tree branch and no armor if you wanted to.
So, since you bring that up, and because I watch a lot of speed running, the fastest speed run for that game is 30 minutes, and that's exactly what they do.
Yep. Yeah, the speed runs and a lot of like the glitches and hacks that people have found, because people are still like digging through that game and finding new and better ways to do either speed run or just to kind of hack it. It's really interesting to see the things that people have figured out how to do with it. I think there's a hack where you can fly across the map if you use a combination of, let me see if I remember correctly, it's bombs, shield surfing, and it might be the time freeze option. Like that combination, you just continuously set off an explosion underneath of the shield and shield surf up, and just it shoots you across the map. It's really like you have to have the timing perfect or it'll kill you.
Yeah.
It's just like, how did somebody come up with that? It's really cool seeing the creativity that with just looking at weird things you can do with it. Something else that I really liked with it was in a lot of games that I play, when you're confronted with a puzzle, there's usually only one way to solve it. That I had played where you had a couple different options. You had the quote unquote solve it, or you could figure out something much more complicated because the correct way didn't even cross your mind, which is what happened to me a couple times. There was one puzzle in particular that you have a tool that can freeze water, and it does a couple other things. This particular battle and kind of puzzle, you were supposed to use that feature and freeze water and like dials back at the main enemy, and do like it was something. It should have been pretty easy. My husband figured that out pretty quickly. Myself and one of my other cousins did this completely overly complicated. Like it took us a much longer period of time to beat this boss. I don't remember what it was we were doing, but it was something completely off the wall that when we told Drew, like, yeah, this is how we beat that boss, he just looked at us like we were stupid. It's like, why didn't you use the freeze thing on the tablet? No, Dylan and I both just looked at him and we were like, oh. That would make sense. But the fact that we were able to find something completely different that still complicated, but it still brought us to the same result was something that I found really cool.
I like that. It's kind of unique in the sense of there's more ways to solve the puzzle, and it's not just like that. Like you said, it's getting away from that linear progression.
Yeah, and they've actually they've announced a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. It's been delayed a couple times. I've been trying to count how many times it's been delayed because if you follow Zelda games at all, they're never released on their original release date. They're usually delayed at least like 3 or 4 times before they actually come out, but that's something I personally never really had a problem with because that makes me feel better. Like Nintendo is making sure that stuff is done correctly before they put it out.
I gotcha.
So I'm curious. When are you going to mention the true objective of these games, which is to smash every single pot? And I believe it's called Hyrule. It's called like Hyrule or something like that, if I'm correct. Like, isn't that the main objective? Is just to go around smashing every single pot in the game?
Yes, Gordon. They made a
Yeah.
whole game where you have to break ceramics. You're right.
That's what Assassin's Creed is.
Well, have you ever seen like? I'm assuming you guys know what a Ren Fair is, right?
Yes.
Oh, are you talking about that photo of somebody who dressed up as Link and they wouldn't let him in the pottery shop?
Yeah, I am.
I love that photo. So yes, there.
Wide-eyed at it.
Wait,
There
I have
is-
to find this.
I think there's a couple different versions of it, but there's actually in
Post it. I have it.
in the Wind Waker, there's actually a character. If you walk into his house, he's like the really big rich guy of the town, and he's got a bunch of really sparkly pots. Because usually when you break them, you get money out of them. So of course, when you walk into the rich guy's house and you see these big, gorgeous, sparkly pots, they've got to have tons of money in them. So you go and you break them. And he screams, the guy who owns the house screams at you from the second floor, and I think he makes you pay for them. So they do, like, kind of make some jokes and stuff. They know that everybody does go out and break all the pots, so that's something that's also kind of fun. Something else I wanted to mention about Breath of the Wild, though, a really interesting, kind of cool stuff that they did with it. If you wander around the world, because like I said, it's a very open world. It's kind of sparsely populated just because of something that was going on in game, in story. Like it's almost post-apocalyptic in Hyrule because of some events that had happened like 100 years before the start of the game. But they actually, in their character design for several characters, they paid tribute to a few different people who. I believe it was the original creator of the series or somebody who was very, very involved in getting the series up and running who had passed away. Character in there who is designed to look exactly like him as a tribute to him. But another one that I personally found very touching, there's actually a to Robin Williams in the game, because I don't know if you guys know this. Robin Williams was a very, very big Legend of Zelda fan. He actually named his daughter Zelda.
Wow.
And they did some advertisements for the game, I believe, when the Wii was released and stuff like that. So since Robin Williams has unfortunately passed away, they actually put, I believe it's 2 separate characters who are believed to be references to him. So there is one who is a lookalike, who it's kind of sad when you find him. This character is wandering back and forth down a path from one of the towns, going up towards a mountain. And if you talk to him, you can tell he's very depressed, but he can't quite decide if he wants to do anything about that. So he never does anything. He just walks back and forth on this path. But that is the one who, if I find a picture of him, I'll send it to you guys. If you see him, that's Robin Williams. The other one who is everybody believes is a reference to him is a character. It's a name reference. The character's name is Robbie. and he's very flamboyant, and he's kind of he's a key part of getting you some like really good equipment and just this very like flamboyant character. And a lot of fans were theorizing that, oh hey, yeah, you found it.
Yeah.
A lot of fans were theorizing that this character named Robbie was more representative of Robin Williams, like persona, like that putting on that happy face and like helping everybody out and keeping everybody like happy and motivated. So I don't remember if Nintendo ever confirmed like Robbie being that part of a tribute, but if you see this picture of the look-alike character, it's really hard to deny that that was a tribute to him.
Yeah, I'm impressed
Yeah.
at how good they did.
It looks pretty much just like him.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I mean,
Very
it's
cool.
it's a very sweet tribute to a couple different people who did a lot for the series over the years.
I definitely get the emotional connection. Similar story. I grew up playing like Ocarina of Time with my brother, and whenever he eventually got deployed overseas, it was my mission to beat Majora's Mask while he was gone, because he always would pick on me that he was the only one able to beat Majora's Mask, and I failed every time. So I definitely get it. Legend of Zelda is kind of like a legacy game, and it definitely has a lot of sentimental value to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
All right, so top 3 reasons why your game is superior than Assassin's Creed, Rocket League, and what was it, Mario Party or something? I already forget. Call of Duty.
All right. Well, my number one reason would be that this is a game that can be enjoyed by kind of all ages. So, not that the other games can't be, but when you get some younger aged kids, Assassin's Creed might be a little bit too mature for them. The same thing with Call of Duty. Rocket League, I don't know much about, so I'm not going to touch that one. But as far as Legend of Zelda goes, it's Nintendo is a very family-friendly company. They've tried to keep series very open to like I know I would be comfortable putting a young kid down with some of the games to play. They might have a hard time getting through some of the puzzles, but like the actual story and animations and everything, I wouldn't really have an issue with it. But at the same time, it's something that adults are able to enjoy because they do sneak in their little innuendos, and sometimes they're not so subtle. Yeah, we're just going to leave that one alone. So it really is something that can be enjoyed by all ages. Now, a second reason that I would say it's better is because it is really developing with the times, but a lot of big changes in it to keep it relevant. Because if they had stuck with that same old like linear formula, yes, you'd have your diehard fans like myself who would still get all the games, but I mean, let me see. I pulled up how many times. Okay, so currently there are 27 video games out, and now that is including original titles, ports, and remakes. So it's not 27 individual games per se, but it's up there, and it's been out for, like I said, this is the 35th anniversary. So that long and has been able to change and grow with the times is definitely something to be reckoned with. A third reason, it's just a freaking awesome game, dude. Like,
Very good. All right. Well, I think that you really summarized that well. And for any of you that are interested in some of the things that we spoke about, if you watch this podcast on YouTube, I will throw in clips of like the side by side of the Robin Williams character, etc. So you can see that for yourself. So I guess that leaves me to bring this home with my favorite video game series, and the more I think about this, I have a feeling that Lizette is going to roast me because I think that you do know more about this than I do.
I mean, I'm a little bit more caught up on the recent games, but do go on.
So the game series that I'm focusing on is a game called Kingdom Hearts. It was originally released in 2002, I believe, and essentially the premise of the game is you're introduced to three characters, Sora, Kairi, and Riku, and you basically just start the game, do the tutorial, kind of get the basic mechanics, and the story really develops when a storm hits and they live on Destiny Island, and the storm strikes, and basically, it it's more than just a storm. There's I don't want to like spoil it and like give it all away, but essentially, you the main character Sora is ripped out of his normal world, and he can't find Kairi, he can't find Riku. Uh, he's dropped into essentially a universe where Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters coexist. And as the plot develops, you you start to see who the villains are, and you basically play through versions of Disney movies like The Little Mermaid or Tarzan, which forever was the hardest level in that
Oh
first
my
game.
goodness.
Yeah.
I hate that level.
So it's kind of cool because you're essentially replaying the movie, but with these new added characters, and like you can kind of what's happening if you're a Disney fan like I am. You know what's going on, and it's basically figuring out what you have to do to make the story complete. And you realize that your friend Kyrie was taken for a reason. That they are trying to collect all seven of the princesses of heart, so to speak. And there's a whole plot line, and honestly, we could go on, and there's so many story details and so many, I want to say, consistencies as well as inconsistencies, that it really is a massive storyline and it has a huge fandom. I have played the first and the second, as well as some of the offshoots, but I unfortunately never was able to play the third and final game. I
It's
follow a lot of. I
not
follow. What?
it's not the final game, but go on.
Well, the third. I should say the third in that story arc. Is that perhaps better?
Um, Debatable, but go on.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought that. Okay, maybe I don't know
Uh,
as much about it, but
go
I
go
love
on.
I love the game. I will follow a YouTuber. She goes by the handle Super Butter Buns, and she has some incredible reaction videos and gameplay videos. So I have been able to see the basically the plot of the third game, and from what I understand, they are basically continuing on in another arc of like the story going forward. Um, but unfortunately, the one thing about Kingdom Hearts, again, we have a little bit of a release date issue. Games will be announced, and then it'll be several years that they take to develop and finish. I know that's caused a lot of frustration within the fandom. Some of the writing has caused some frustration. But when you look at the game as a whole, it's a beautiful story with some really powerful morals. And I guess I'm getting into my final three reasons here. It's a very powerful story about love and friendship, and it's got a lot of incredible like morals, and it really, like you said, I would want a child to play this game, for the simple fact of the entertainment, but also what it teaches and what it tries to inspire in everybody. Second, I love the Disney crossover. Getting to see some of your favorite childhood characters in this way, totally, it can warp your. I don't want to say warp, but it changes your sense of like interacting with these characters and what you remember of them from the movies. For example, I remember one time I was playing. This is years ago. I was playing the second, or maybe it was the first. And either way, my dad walked in and he saw Jiminy Cricket on the screen, and he said, as that was his favorite Disney character. And he actually sat down and watched me play through that entire section of the story because he was so enthralled by seeing the animation and the gameplay. And obviously, he's not one for video games, but
Mhm.
I guess my second reason is it brings people of all age groups and demographics together because Disney is a powerhouse, and pretty much everybody has a favorite character or a favorite movie. And my third reason would probably just be the community. It really has one of the largest fandoms I've ever seen. Very vocal, very opinionated, very strong-willed, and I think it's pretty inspiring for a video game to have such a cult following. I mean, I remember when it first came out, and it wasn't that big, and my friend on the school bus played it, beat it, and let me borrow it, and we were like the only two around that really knew about it. And then by the end of the year in 2002, I believe it was a big boost in like year-end game awards and like the holiday sales. It really started to take off, and it became a small group of fans to a larger, and it just kept expanding. And I think that was a pretty cool thing to witness.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely agree with all of your. Also, a series that is very near and dear to my heart. It's actually it's my husband's favorite video game series, one of his favorites, and it's something that he and I have played together years before we'd even started dating. So like we have been playing this together when we were kids. Now I love all of the games up until the recent release, and I think so. Part of the problem with 3 was, like you said, that long delayed release date. It let everybody get so hyped up, and it gave everybody so much time to like sit around and theorize and come up with ideas. And we all just got our expectations up really, really high. Now, another problem that Kingdom Hearts tends to suffer from, and like I said, I adore this series. I used to sit in middle school, I would sit at the lunch table with my best friend, and we would spend hours and hours just theorizing and talking philosophically about
Mhm.
these games and like the story and trying to puzzle out. At that point, I believe it was just the first game, Chain of Memories, and the second game were the only ones that were out at the time. And we like did deep dives into the story, the backgrounds of everything. Like our friends wouldn't even talk to us. They'd just go and sit at the other end of the table because they're like, you guys are nuts. Um, I also have some really good memories of going over to her house for the weekend, and like we'd go down in the basement and we would pretty much just camp down there and play. She actually ordered the final mix version of one of the games before it was released over here, so she had to modify her PlayStation so that we could play the Japanese version of the final mix.
Wow.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
that's Hannah. So I mean, Hannah's also the one who made you and me our Keyblade, Steven. So
Yep, still have it to this day.
yep, mine's sitting around here somewhere. I've got to tag her in this because I know she'll enjoy the shout out. Um, but yeah, so I mean, like I have lots of really good memories of going and playing that with her too. So it it really that the third game was not good. Just because the story, they have gotten it so tangled and convoluted at this point that um when my sister went to replay the third game, she asked me, she's like, Lizett, can you please put together a PowerPoint for me and remind me of the story? Because she's like, I want to be caught up. I want to understand what's going on. But she's like, there's so much.
Mhm.
And she told me that whole week before the game came out, she said her brain was absolute mush whenever she was at work because she was trying to process and re-download all of this information, was I believe the way she put it. So I mean, it is a lot of fun. I'm sitting here staring at I collect video game guides when they still printed them. I'm sitting here staring at all of my Kingdom Hearts guides. I've got Kingdom Hearts Funko Pops. I've got a couple of the mangas sitting alongside all of my Legend of Zelda ones, of which there are many more. Uh, So I mean, I definitely I think we were talking right before we started the podcast. If you didn't do Kingdom Hearts, I probably would have, and if I didn't do Legend of Zelda, you probably would have because these really are two of our favorite series.
Yeah. I think even flaws and all, and I understand little bit about 3. I was there when Super Butter Buns was reacting, and I was up on watching her Twitch when she was playing it for the first time, and I understand that, like, they had to re-release, or they did a DLC for an ending that kind of made up for the lack of the original release, and it was kind of a mess. But for me, like, these games in my eyes will forever not be able to do anything wrong because they are so sentimental. And I know that's like a bad outlook. I mean, obviously I can identify the flaws, but
But I
it's just,
mean,
it's a
be
legacy.
yeah, and I mean, being able to say like, "Hey, this has some flaws, but I still love it because of these other reasons." I mean, I think that's a good thing, and I mean, I think that definitely speaks to all of the things that they did right.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I agree with you. Up until actually, there's a few other releases aside from 3 that are kind of like meh, but overall, they had
Hmm.
far more hits than misses.
Yes. And it's not like, I would rather be an enlightened soul who plays Legend of Zelda and Kingdom Hearts rather than, somebody that plays like Rocket League or Assassin's Creed.
I know because it just
Wow.
I've
yeah,
never played either of those games. So
you
yeah,
really should.
Me
Kingdom
neither.
Kingdom Hearts
Uncultured,
or
uncultured swine.
Link Zelda. I want to. I just don't have the required equipment to play them.
I gotcha. I mean, I definitely felt I bought my Nintendo Switch purely to play Breath of the Wild. I mean, I've obviously gotten more games since then. I mean, like Animal Crossing is another game series that I will not start talking about right now. Um,
Maybe that'll be video games part 2.
yeah,
We
because then I
definitely
can,
need a part 2.
because
What
then
was
I get
that?
to talk.
We're definitely gonna need a part 2.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
so.
for sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because
All right.
oh, go
Sorry.
on.
No, what
Sorry.
were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I have quite a few other either standalones or series that I could definitely talk about, but
Same
not
here.
today.
Yeah.
In a lot more detail too than just. We'll be revisiting this topic in
Yeah.
the future.
I agree. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for listening to today's episode. Please drop us a comment and tell us your favorite video game. Tell us why it's better than our games, or tell us which one of the 4 of us you agree with. If we messed anything up, let us know. We appreciate any and all feedback. We are trying to really build a community here, and we want everybody to join the Discord server. Come talk about your favorite video game, be really connect with us. And that being said, I think that's pretty much the end of the road for video games part 1.
But wait, we have some breaking news.
Oh boy.
Oh jeez. I didn't know you were still here with how quiet you've been, Meechy.
Now we have some breaking news. A little faith restored in humanity situation.
Okay.
A college student raises $100,000 for an Uber driver with cancer.
Wow.
That's sweet. That's also really impressive.
Yeah.
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 What he thought would be a simple Uber trip eventually led to a $100,000 GoFundMe campaign. On his way to meet his friends, 22-year-old Roland Gaynor learned that his Uber driver, Kenneth Broski, suffered from head, throat, and tongue cancer and had only weeks left to live. Discovering that Broski was driving for Uber to save money for his daughter and grandchildren, fearing that they would lose their house after he passed, Gaynor was inspired to help the older man. Setting up a GoFundMe account, Gaynor raised more than $100,000 in 5 days for Broski, more than enough to pay his mortgage and leave some extra money for his family.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Very.
Like you said, that is definitely a faith restorer in humanity.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Michi. I think that, that's a good way to leave it, on a positive note like that.
You're welcome.
All right. And once again, thank you, Anchor, for making this podcast possible. We couldn't do it without you, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Pasta la vista.
Let's Be Nerds is hosted and produced by Gordon A. Bryant and Stephen J. McLean. Our co-host for this episode was Lizett, and guest host was Meechy. Let's Be Nerds is a production of Speak Easily Productions. Let's Be Nerds is hosted and sponsored by Anchor.fm. To keep up with the latest about the show, follow us on Twitter at Let's the letter B Nerds, or join our Discord server, which is linked in the description box below, along with our Patreon. Thanks to Kylie Gregg, our social media manager. Also, a special thanks to Robert V. Jacobs for composing our theme song. You can follow his Instagram at Bobby_Specter. Also, check out Stephen J's YouTube called Speak Easily with Stephen J. You can also find him on Twitter and Facebook under the same handle, or on Insta under Speak Easily Stephen J. You can also find Lizett on Instagram at XShadowSongX.